Okay, greetings, brothers and sisters. So I would have missed this story. I saw this story, and I didn't decide to look at it, right? This is the funny effing story ever in terms of like how stupid the the Trumpers are. Um, and I saw a headline, I think, on Huffington Post, and well, let me just read the tweet. So this is Attorney General Pamela J. Bondi, um, number one taint liquor, number one Trump taint liquor. If you touch any law enforcement officer, we'll come after you. I've just learned that this defendant worked for the Department of Justice no longer. Not only is he fired, he has been charged with a felony. This is an example of the deep state. This is the funny part. This is an example of the deep state we've been up against for 17 months as we work to refocus on the DOJ. You will not work for the administration while disrespecting our government and law enforcement. So when I saw Deep State, like I didn't see the video, but I knew it was going to be funny, and it is way funnier than I thought. So this dude in the pig shirt is an example of the Deep State. So he gets talking to a cop. He throws his 12-inch Subway sandwich right into the dude's chest. Deep State like. And then just like the Deep Stater, he runs like a fucking pussy. Run, Deep State, run. That's exactly like the Deep State. Look at him run. Look at that Deep State. Look how fast the Deep State is. Look at how fucking fast that Deep State is. Boom. Throws a sandwich. Run, Deep State, run. And whatever happened there, he's definitely the Deep State. Like, if that's the Deep State, how are you not beating the Deep State? How do you not beat... Like, look at... He doesn't even hurt the guy, and he's already running. There's a total example of the Deep State. Like, look at that Deep State. Look at him run. Run, Deep State, run. Amazing. Like, amazing. Like, I had to, a little bit tired today. I got some stuff I want to do outside. It's Friday, August 15th. I already finished my video early today. It's like 2 o'clock. But when I saw the headline, and then I knew the video. I didn't know he ran like this. I had no idea I'd seen the video. But I'm like, a guy who throws a sandwich is in the Deep State? Is that what the fucking Deep State is all about, right? Meanwhile, you got Trump who's cover up the Epstein stuff. Just classic, just wonderful. Absolutely freaking wonderful. Run. Run, motherfucker. Run, you Deep State motherfucker. Don't you guys have like a little place in here where you disappear under the cement after you throw a sandwich at a cop? Don't you have a little like a hatch that opens and you drop down and then the cops run over and it closes up and you're somehow underground in the Deep State caverns where they're already working on the computer to mess up your facial recognition and make sure you don't get caught? I mean, if that's an example of the Deep State, then holy shit, how do you guys not have conquered it already? Okay, so I want to get to Trump's goofy stuff he said about Social Security. It's bad. Like, everything is just so, like, he's gone. Like, he's gone into Joe Biden territory, and I don't think it's getting better. It's not getting better because how could it? It's age. And, bad living. But I want to get to a few funny things. I got a bunch of little Instagram stuff I haven't been able to get to. Stuff with the Baldwins, which I haven't showed in a bit. Their goofiness. And let's start here with Jen Psaki.
10 years ago, conservatives across the country were completely convinced that then President Obama was secretly preparing to impose martial law. It was a wild and crazy conspiracy theory. And
it's not a wild and crazy one. Martial law has to come because there's going to be breakdown. There's going to be a time where you're going to be told, fuck you, right? And when you're told, fuck you, they better have a martial law. Fuck you on your electricity. Fuck you on your grocery stores. Fuck you on your house. Fuck you on your lifestyle, right? So when they tell you fuck you, they better have martial law up in place. And they've been putting martial law up. We saw the Boston bomber was an example of that. And, where they just took over a city. And so this is a real thing. Martial law exists everywhere in the world, different times. In America, they can keep you in line because they don't want to take away your stuff. I've been talking about homeless people, right? And when you see homeless people, that's an incentive to get your ass to work, right? You see some of the things going on in the world, in the some of the places people are living. You go by the projects, you see, wherever it is, you go trailer parks, places that are, tough places to see, to consider yourself living. It'll force you to go to your shitty job, right? The homeless is the number one thing. And so, as long as there's enough things to keep people happy, then you don't need martial law. But we live in a police state now. We just don't know it, right? And there's people who do know it because they live in areas where there's heavy police and they're scrutinized. And so we've already seen this in Europe with the 15-minute passes. You can go like these 15-minute city areas and you can't go to certain areas without a pass. I mean, like shit like that, right? So this is, for her to say a crazy conspiracy theory, well, just let's get into it here.
That belief was prompted by the fact that 10 years ago today, the U.S. military was a few weeks into a military exercise called Jade Helm. Now, what Jade Helm actually was a pretty standard 8-week military training exercise that happened to take place across Texas, New Mexico, California, and other southwestern states. But because Barack Obama was president, conspiracy theorists seized on the fact that the military was going to be in Texas, again, doing these exercises, as proof that a hostile takeover was planned, that this was all about a hostile takeover.
Now, this was prompted by Alex Jones and right-wing people, but, you always have to be concerned about this. Like, for her to say it's unreasonable is silly because it's happening right now, and you can say, well, Trump is doing it, not Obama. But, yeah, it's being done, right? So this is we're only like 2 presidents away. I mean, Trump was elected right after Obama, and it seemed like he was ready for martial law even then. And we had martial law kind of when we had COVID. And so, it's already been a thing, right? And for her to pretend that it isn't, like, so you guys are all crazy. You guys are so crazy.
Rather than calm that completely unfounded conspiracy, conservatives fanned the flames. Republican Senator Ted Cruz said he understood the reason for concern because, quote, the federal government has not demonstrated itself to be trustworthy in this administration.
Which is true. That's a true statement, even by this piece of shit, Ted Cruz. That is the reason for that, because you're not trustworthy. You guys are all fucking liars. Like, you guys lie all the fucking time. And it's not just lies. It's your whole worldview and the kind of construct you're creating with this fake American dream bullshit and all the rest of it. Whether it's Democrat or Republican, it's not allowing the truth to come out. I had that exchange yesterday with, so this is, I've already completed my video for today. Today's Friday, is it the 15th today? Yeah. And so this video will be up on Sunday. But my last video, two videos ago, the one that's up this morning on the 15th, I get into this, where I asked ChatGPT about all this shit that's bad for people. Food, video games, processed food, fast food, alcohol, drugs, pharmaceutical drugs, vaccine, all the things that have side effects, all the things that are bad. Then I asked about ivermectin and 9/11, and its tone was completely different. And then it kind of negotiated with me, which is kind of interesting. You can't get that with a search engine. And said, I'll show you both things. So I have to show you the official story because I can't do anything about that, but I'll also include some of the information that you're looking for. So it's like a negotiation, right? But it admitted that it's censoring. It's admitting that they're doing this. And, I guess that they're, the people running the AR and the AI itself is smart enough to realize they can't just stonewall people or they're going to lose customers. So they have to do some kind of negotiation. And they'll acknowledge that they know what you're looking for, but are told to withhold it. And so it's because it doesn't fit with this fucking mainstream narrative that almost nobody believes in, and they keep on just saying it like it's like people are buying it and they're fucking not, right? That's why nobody's watching Psaki and these other people.
He was, of course, talking about the Obama administration. Other Republicans insisted that the map of the fictitious exercise be changed so that Texas wasn't labeled as hostile. Again, This was just a military training exercise, something that is quite standard, that all the branches of our military participate in. But Texas...
Now, I kind of remember the Jade Helm thing. I mean, I remember the name. But I think it was the military exercises against people, against the citizens, right? Let me just check that out. So it was like military exercises against unconventional warfare that would include not American citizens, but citizens from other countries, this kind of thing. So, the kind of war that was going on in Iraq, where they had to go in and act as police. So, again, it wasn't anything. It wasn't real, and people went over the top because it was Obama. The right wing has always been stupid about shit like that. But, it's like she's saying that there's no concern at all, and this was just crazy. And that's why she has no viewers, right? Because, people even the left know that this is a possibility, right? Because it's happening right now with Trump.
This is governor at the time, who, believe it or not, was still Greg Abbott. Man, that guy's been around doing damage for a long time. Ordered the state guard to go monitor the exercise, using taxpayer dollars to send troops to watch the training exercise. That is how hair on fire Republicans were just a decade ago.
That isn't hair on fire. They're monitoring the thing, I mean, it's like I said, it's always a possibility.
But the unfounded...
If martial law happens in America, that means that it could have happened at any time. Doesn't matter if Trump brings it in. Doesn't matter if Obama brings it in. It's just that martial law is here. And it can happen here. It totally can happen here. Because there's civil unrest to the extent where they have to bring in martial law. I mean, if it's provoked, that's something else, right? But once in a while, things break down and there's chaos. Martial law has been a part of human civilization for a long time, right? Like martial law is a thing. It's when you have to crack down because people aren't following the rules. Sometimes you have to do this like some version of martial law in your family. When I became a disciplinarian, which I wasn't really, I'm not a disciplined person. And I had to be one when I worked in treatment centers with a behavior management model, right, which all treatment centers and families and schools have a behavior management from the behavioral psychological model, right? And so when you have to become a disciplinarian, when do you enforce rules? You enforce rules when things start getting to the people who are, the rules are for your kids or, kids in a treatment center or in a school or, whatever it is. In this case, U.S. citizens are acting out. And then you have to enforce the rules when things get bad. If people are self-directed and are not needing the rules themselves because they're not going to break them, and, they make a mistake here or there, you can be more lenient, right? You'll be more flexible with applying the law, like an Andy Griffith type sheriff. But when things break down, that's when you have to really apply the rules. You have to do it to the letter of the law when things are getting fucking shitty. And so, things are getting shitty, right? Not that Trump is in the right for doing this. This is just some made-up bullshit.
Very remote, not even real possibility that the President of the United States might be calling the military into American cities. Now fast forward to today. Check out how Republicans are responding to Trump actually sending troops into an American city.
What's happening in D.C., this is easy. President Trump is showing bold and strong leadership.
Hopefully, this is a harbinger of what we see in these liberally run cities across the country. We need to send it.
Well, look, here, but he's got even the stats here. Look, in 2023, there was 2,700 homicides. And other than 2019, it was lower in 2024. And so they're showing this on Fox News, which Fox News is, totally, on Trump's side. And and this is the most Trump-friendly network. And they're fucking him right here because there's almost, close to, there's like 90 more homicides last year there. In 2024, there wasn't shit, right? And so, this is not like it's going crazy. And when Trump was president before, in 2020, there was this many homicides, right? Joe Biden was sworn in 2021. So Trump was president during this year, and there's more homicides that year, and he didn't say that there should be martial law. Of course, he was saying that about the Antifa riots, But Trump is a big martial law person because that's how he conducts himself as a corporate fuck, right? As a owner of a club, like he has security and keep the riffraff out, right? Like fucking, he's a elitist.
Across the country, we need to send in the troops, which is exactly what we're doing.
We're going to support this. We're going to support doing this in other cities if it works out in Washington, D.C. I think that this is an experiment that's probably needed in a lot of the Democrat-run cities in America.
Do they even have a belief system? I ask myself often. I mean, Republicans...
Yeah, we could say your belief system is, at least we're not Donald Trump. I mean, you had a guy who shit himself on a regular basis that had Parkinson's and fucking severe prostate cancer for his whole presidency. He was breaking down mentally in 2019 when he was running. He clearly was showing signs of dementia. And so you're saying that about beliefs? What's your belief system? Oh, Trump sucks? Like the Republicans suck, right? I mean, that's not a belief system. Now, Trump's belief system is fucked and it is hypocritical, but at least they have one. I mean, you guys as Democrats have one, but it's not working. You can't even sell that shit. Like the Trump morons are eating his belief system up.
Aren't just okay with Trump using the military these days to take over the nation's capital, a city, by the way, where they all spend a fair amount of time as members of Congress, of course. They want this experiment repeated in cities run by Democrats all over the country. That's the whole plan. That's the goal. Meanwhile, the actual residents of the city Trump is trying to take over are definitely not aligned with that viewpoint, and they are pushing back. This was the scene at the intersection of 14th Street and W Street in Washington, D.C. last night. So to give you a sense, this is a neighborhood full of restaurants and bars, and lots of people live there. Bystanders chanted things like, "Get off our streets."
You know, when you see machine guns on your streets, when I first, I went to India for the first time. And India was like, well, so here's how it went. I went in, I flew, I drove across country from Connecticut to New Mexico. And I lived in New Mexico. I had a small car, Toyota Tercel. Everything was packed in it. I got a storage unit there. I rented an apartment for when I got back. And I put everything else in the storage unit, my car and everything. Boarded a plane in Albuquerque, flew to Los Angeles. Some preceptor, we did this meditation. You sit cross, you could sit across from the person. Some preceptor who I know fairly well now, but I'd never met him before. An Indian guy came and gave me a sitting at the airport back when you could get, this is 1994, 5. And then I got on the plane and I flew and Singapore Airlines was amazing airlines. Like, unbelievable place. But I flew from, and so I drove across the country, and I didn't really recover from that trip. Like it was a 4-day trip. I did in like 3 days, and I didn't sleep properly, and I was packing up, getting ready to go, and these flights often leave late at night, and so I got on the plane. There's some layovers, and I went to Taipei, and I went to Singapore, and I was supposed to meet the master of the system in New Delhi. It's a northern state. He was in Chennai, which is kind of where Florida is. New Delhi's kind of where like Chicago or Michigan or one of those, Midwestern, upper, close to Canada states are. Probably like Michigan or upper state New York, probably more like Michigan or Wisconsin or one of those states, close to the border. And New Delhi's a big city. And I, the Singapore was an amazing airport. Like that's but at that time it was the most amazing airport I've ever been to. They had like a science museum in it, like a big one, like cool stuff. Like I went around I was tired as shit, but I wanted to see all the stuff they had there. Singapore is like kind of a neat city. It's clean. I didn't get to go see it, but the airport was incredible. But I fly into New Delhi. And I'm supposed to meet Charji there, but he broke his toe, so he's not going. He was going to go to the Himalayas. And some guy picked me up, like one of the practitioners of the system, and drove me to the ashram. I mean, that's the kind of like hospitality there's there. And I slept for 4 hours, and I went to Chennai. But when we were driving from the airport in Delhi to the ashram, we were going past these military fucking police, like they have, I don't know what they have going on there. but they were waving machine guns all over the place. And there was machine guns in the airport. I've seen a few places where there's machine guns. When I was in France, the airport in France, the second time I went to India, it was crazy. Like there's places, and you see machine guns out. It's a whole different vibe, right? It's different when people are, have a sidearm, like cops have a handgun. When guys are walking around with dogs and machine guns, it's like, this is kind of, what's going on, right? Like, is that for us, is that for just everybody, or is that just because there's dangerous people here? Or, it's like you're in a police state, you're in a martial law zone, right? And that's what Trump is rolling out here in areas that are very wealthy.
Go home fascists and read the Constitution at a bizarre mix of federal law enforcement officers and local police who are now under Trump's control. Those officers had set up a checkpoint where for about 2 hours last night, they stopped dozens of cars and detained at least 2 people. Federal agents reportedly stopping cars for things as minor as seatbelt violations and broken taillights. Not sure that's really cracking down on crime. And then asking drivers, of course, about their immigration status, which is probably likely what this is all about. Now, some bystanders reportedly ran into a CVS to quickly make signs, warning others that
ice ahead. So these people are letting you know they sell ice in.
Ice was ahead, and directing drivers to turn left to avoid the checkpoint. You can see one of the signs there they're holding. A group of passengers in a rideshare vehicle rolled down their windows and shouted to the crowd, letting them know the questions law enforcement was asking their driver so that the crowd could then warn others who were coming behind them. Someone else blared Vanilla Ice's classic song, Ice Ice Baby, A+ points for creativity from the sidewalk.
That's not A+. It's a horrible song that Vanilla Ice has since apologized for. He apologized for his whole career, which is kind of great. But, Trump is fucking a piece of shit. What he's doing here it's all lies. But if they are legal immigrants, this is a thing, right? I mean, there's people, they might be doing great jobs and service. I'm not a big deport all the legal. I don't give a shit, right? But I'm not on, this immigration thing and, Trump is, whatever. I don't believe the stuff the right-wing people believe about it. But they broke the fucking law. Like, if they're fucking here illegally, you broke the law. And, you're kind of enabling, you're not only enabling, you're participating in them breaking the law by warning people. And this bullshit checkpoints, these checkpoints are horrible. To have these things in the middle of a fucking city that's high traffic, driving around Washington, D.C. sucks. Especially in an area like this where it's, a nice area. If you want to go to a place where people who are, where there's a high density of possible legal immigrants, that's one thing. But you're delaying everybody else, too, and you're sending a message to them. It's a fuck you message. This is a big fuck you to the American people in the city of D.C.
While others shouted advice at drivers, encouraging them to ask for badge numbers or remain silent. That was D.C. last night. The people of D.C., which doesn't surprise me, I've lived here a long time, pushing back in practical ways against what Trump is trying to do to the city. All the way on the other side of the country, we also saw
there's DeepState guys in there throwing sandwiches and shit. This whole thing is like, Jen Psaki's just, she sucks. And some of her takes are warranted because Trump's such a moron at this point. Some of them are silly. But, you have to acknowledge that you're here illegally. You violated a law to get here. And, I never blame just the immigrants. I blame the people that hire immigrants more. But those people oftentimes can't hire Americans because Americans won't do those jobs. And so, it's a whole thing. It's a complicated issue. But, there is illegality here. And she isn't acknowledging that.
Something similar. Today was the first day of school for the more than 500,000 children in the LA Unified School District. And in addition to worrying about first day outfits, believe me, that's a thing. I have 2 elementary school kids, that's a thing. And school supplies. Students and parents across the city were anxious about something much bigger because of our federal government. As the LA Times headlined it today, fears of immigration raids cloud LAUSD's first day. But just like the people of D.C., the people of Los Angeles are pushing back.
They're pushing back. Gavin Newsom came out and said, Trump has poked the bear. He's poking the fucking bear. Yeah, I'm sure Gavin Newsom's been poked before.
This is Ron Gochez, a high school history teacher at Maya Angelou High School.
Is he? Is he a teacher?
He had to teach today, but he got up hours before school started to patrol the streets around his school looking for federal agents.
Boom. That guy, he's getting involved.
Gochez is part of an organized group of faculty and volunteers, like some of the people you see here, that plan to patrol all across the city before and after school every day to warn students and parents if and when ICE shows up.
Because your kids here and you are here illegally. You're not citizens, but you're not paying taxes. You know, like I said, I don't blame immigrants. They get the least amount of blame for the whole issue. You know, the fact that Americans are too entitled to pick their own fruit, to the rich people, corporations that hire illegals, and people who hire these people nannies and don't want to pay taxes. I mean, all that stuff. And so it's a complicated issue. And this is fucked up, kind of what Trump's doing. But what the bottom line is, you're here illegally, and you people who are helping this situation, again, you're saying, well, let's not even have citizens. Let's get rid of being citizens. And nobody would want that shit. Like, it's just anybody can come here all the time. Open borders. There's no driver's license. There's no IDs. And I don't like the heavy government IDs and paying for licenses here and this, there, and all that fees and shit like that. But it actually, serves a purpose, because it would be fucking pretty shitty without it, right? As much as we don't like it, it's pretty shitty without it.
The group says they hope to have at least 5 to 7 volunteers per school every single day.
All right, so there's that. Like, that's, the whole thing's this just fucked. So Don Lemon's pointing to his empty fucking head here with this. He's the worst actor. And they have a Time magazine, Long Live the King, some fake cover with Gavin Newsom on there. And it says, "A successful Liberation Day, thank you." Gavin Newsom put that up, right? As a fucking way to troll Trump. And watch Don Lemon's here. Let's turn the music off. Yeah, there you go. Point to your yes. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Oh, yes. Tap my noggin. Tapping my noggin. Noggin my head. Oh, yes. Yeah, this is something. Touch my chin. Yeah, touch my lips. He's like, holy shit. Like, this is content. Like, he's just so fucking stupid, right? Okay, so I have a bunch of things people have sent me, and I haven't been able to keep up with these. And some of them are funny. This one looks funny, but it's not. Look, I got a fly inside.
Bionic hands.
No, that's something on my screen.
Which are powered by her own thoughts, and which, as we'll discover, can even move when they're not attached to her arm. It's amazing.
Well,
Amazing.
Tilly joins us now. I mean, obviously, you probably...
Okay, so these fucking Good Morning Britain, a lot of these shows are shitty about copyright, but she moves her hands around here. She's able to move hers, and so they've made progress in this area. A couple of people sent me this with Hilaria Baldwin and this guy, this dopey looking motherfucker here. 'Cause I'm your lady. I'll mute this because they'll copyright it. And she does this, like, just weird shit. She's so fucking weird. I guess when you come from Boston, Spain, and she's like, "Come on, do it." Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, you're supposed to rub your, oh, yeah, let me rub your feet. Oh, yeah, let me rub your feet. Look at him, like, he's supposed to be a professional actor. Look at what he's been reduced to. Like, she does this fucking, this is her. So, so then they did, this is from a while ago. There's those fucking kids. This is here. I don't know. Okay, it's like a lot of this stuff, right? He's kind of just a prop now. Like, he's just a prop.
come.
So I don't know. Let me go down. Let me find the other one. We get stuck in this fucking crazy land. So it's from a while back, I guess. There she is doing her fucking yoga. So here he is doing this one here. And then he, come on, bro. What's happening with the pause? Come on, bro. There we go. And he does a thing. I mean, Jesus Christ, Alex, you wrecked your fucking life, bro. She just wrecked your fucking life. There was another one somebody else sent me. It was after. Might have been this one.
come back to sleep.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Look at these fucking... I mean, there's... Hard time, Alec. Hard time for Alec. There was one other one. I don't know. Can't even remember what it was.
Maybe they're saving it for later. Grubs. Some sort of vegetation. Perhaps they'll be botanists. Sand in every single crevice.
You live by the fucking beach. So I don't know what the thing was. Was it here?
You know what my shelves are? They're breathtaking. I mean, my collection of shelves, we're limited.
Okay, maybe that's it.
First. Who said I love you first? Who's more protective? Who was interested first? Who said I love you first? Who's more protective? Who
ruined the other person's life? One from Boston, Spain. I don't know. There might have been something else here. Who gives a shit? Baldwin's. Hard times for the Baldwins. I was an atheist until I saw this. Oh, Jesus Christ. I mean, they've taken Jesus and he's wrestling. And he's using his powers to control the other wrestlers. I mean, you know, of course Jesus would be a professional wrestler if he was around. I mean, what else would he do, right? And Jesus Christ is the central figure of Christianity, believed by the Christians to be the Son of God and the Savior of humanity. He was born in Bethlehem 2,000 years ago. He performed miracles such as healing the sick and calming storms. Jesus was crucified under the Roman Empire. He rose again from the dead. But, you know, like, obviously he's capable of doing great things in the wrestling ring. It's how fucking degraded everything is.
This just doesn't make any sense. 400,000 tons of rock excavated and moved out of here to leave behind the craziest temple ever in human history. Oh, well, I'm sure there's a big deposit of rock somewhere. There's no rock to be found anywhere. No excavated rock has ever been discovered. This is also just one thing of like a huge network of caves called...
Okay, so, you know, there is evidence of, you know, certainly the pyramids fall into this category, this place here, where they have built cities that we have no idea how they're built. We have no idea how to build the pyramids. We couldn't rebuild these things. Because there are civilizations here that were far exceeded what we are. There's people who are smarter, more evolved, they live longer. You know, they left behind a bunch of dumb fucks. You know, they left behind dumb fucks and they took off, right? And now we're, you know, in dumbfuckistan because of it. I talk about this in other videos, but yeah, somebody just sent me this. Okay, so today is Saturday the 16th of August. I started this video yesterday because the stupidity of what Pam Bondi said. And just the deep state stuff. And there were some significant things that happened with the Trump and Putin negotiations, which is kind of funny. And I'll show you that. But before that happened, this happened.
In fact, did you see that Hillary Clinton yesterday said that if you got this deal done and not capitulate to Putin, that she would nominate you for the Nobel Peace Prize?
If President Trump were the architect of that, I'd nominate him for a Nobel Peace Prize.
Well, that was very nice. I may have to start liking her again.
Oh, so, just what? I mean, I don't think he heard it because he doesn't watch stuff going on. Maybe he did. She didn't say that because what she said was kind of dickish. Let me show you what she actually said. But for Trump to say I'll start liking her again, because all that takes is that, and we're gonna do that with Putin as well. All it takes for all the bad blood and the lock her up is for her to say she would nominate him for a Nobel Peace Prize if he did something that it was impossible for him to do. Look, let me show you that. So here's what she actually said.
If you were en route to Alaska, what would you be looking to get? What does an acceptable deal look like?
He is not meeting with a friend. He is meeting with an adversary, and an adversary who wants to see the destruction of the United States and the Western alliance. But if he could bring about the end to this terrible war where Putin is the aggressor, invading a neighbor country, trying to change the borders, if he could end it without putting Ukraine in a position where it had to concede its territory to the aggressor, had to, in a way, validate Putin's vision of greater Russia, but instead could really stand up to Putin to make it clear there must be a ceasefire, there will be no exchange of territory, and that over a period of time, Putin should be actually withdrawing from the territory he seized in order to demonstrate good faith efforts, let us say, not to threaten European security. If President Trump were the architect of that, I'd nominate him for a Nobel Peace Prize.
So that would never happen. Now, she minimizes the effects of the Biden administration pushing for this war by saying they were going to make Ukraine part of NATO. Like America, the neocons wanted this war. And so that was some of it. And who knows if what Putin wants, probably, he always wanted to get more of Ukraine. But Putin is not giving up the land. It's silly. That's already established. And Trump doesn't have any leverage other than going to war that would make that happen, right? And so, there's nothing he can do to force Putin to leave Ukraine and the land. And these things, economic sanctions aren't enough because China's already helping, Russia with these other things, right? So the economic sanctions aren't, and they're not happening because Putin talked him out of them. But she said this in a dickish way because she knew this couldn't happen. She would never nominate him for a Nobel Peace Prize. Even if it happened, she wouldn't do it. She hates him. And, the whole thing. But her whole Russia thing and Trump. And so she said things that were, not going to happen. Like, no way would happen. And then she said she nominated for Nobel Peace Prize was a dickish way of ending it. And that was enough for Trump to say he's got to start liking her again. And Trump went and got rolled. He looked tired. He didn't get anything he wanted other than this. I'll show you what he did get. 2 things he got. So Trump did not get a ceasefire, which he wanted. And so Russia's just going to do whatever they're going to do. They didn't get a ceasefire. And he didn't get anything that he wanted to have on the table. And Putin avoided sanctions. And they're talking about how they have come back and their relationship is now better. So Putin won him over. And this is probably the biggest reason here.
Я согласен с президентом Трампом. Он
I agree with President Trump. He spoke about this today.
говорил об этом, что, безусловно, должна
That,
быть
of course, Ukraine's security must be also
обеспечена
ensured.
и безопасность Украины. Конечно, мы
Of
готовы
course,
над
we
этим
are ready to
работать.
work on this.
Хочется надеяться, что
I like to hope that the understanding we have reached will allow us to get closer to that goal.
достигнутое нами понимание позволит приблизиться к той цели и откроет дорогу к миру на
And open the way
Украине.
to peace
Мы
in Ukraine.
видим, что президент
We
США
see the U.S.
имеет
President has
четкое
a clear
представление
vision of what he wants to achieve and sincerely cares about the prosperity of his country.
о том, чего хочет добиться, искренне заботится о процветании своей страны и в то же время
At the same time, shows understanding of Russia's national
проявляет
interests.
понимание наличия в России своих национальных интересов. Рассчитывает, что
I hope
сегодняшние
today's agreement will serve as a starting point not only for resolving the Ukrainian problem,
договоренности станут опорной точкой не только для решения украинской проблемы, но и положат начало
but
восстановлению
also restoring
деловых
practical, pragmatic relations between the U.S. and Russia and the U.S.
прагматичных отношений между России и США. И вот сегодня мы
Today we hear President Trump saying that if he were president, there would be
слышим,
no
когда
war.
президент Трамп говорит, что если бы я был президентом, то войны бы не было. Я думаю, что так.
I think that would have been the case. I can confirm that. That's the biggest thing that Putin could have done is say that, because that's what Trump cares. Trump loves that, right? Like Trump hearing that from Putin, and saying there'd been no war if Trump was president. Then like that's what Putin's given him. Like he worked him with this thing by saying this fucking. That's how petty and small and like short-sighted Trump is, and how myopic and narcissistic he is.
Бы на самом деле и случилось. Я подтверждаю это, потому что в целом у нас
Because the President Trump has established a strong, practical, and trusting
с
relationship
президентом Трампом наладился очень хороший деловой и доверительный контакт, и у меня есть все
I have every reason to believe that by moving down this path,
основания полагать, что двигаясь по этому пути, мы можем дойти и чем быстрее, тем лучше
we can end the conflict in
завершения
Ukraine and
конфликта
sooner
на
than
Украине.
better.
Благодарю вас за внимание.
Again, Mr. President, I'd like to thank you very much, and we'll speak to you very soon and probably see you again very soon. Thank you very much, Vladimir.
Next time in Moscow.
Oh, that's an interesting one. I don't know. I'll get a little heat on that one, but I could see it possibly happening. Thank you very much, Vladimir. And thank you all. Thank you.
He's thinking Putin got nothing, no ceasefire, none of the things, none of the objectives that Trump wanted to see was other than him telling him that if Trump was president, it wouldn't happen. Like that's huge for Trump. Like Trump is, that's everything that Trump wanted to hear. So this is the other piece to it.
We were interfered with by the Russia hoax. That made it a little bit tougher to deal with, but he understood it. I think he's probably seen things like that during the course of his career. He's seen it all, but we had to put up with the Russia hoax. He knew it was a hoax, and I knew it was a hoax, but what was done was very criminal. But it made it harder for us to deal as a country in terms of the business and all of the things that we'd like to have dealt with. But we'll have a good chance when this is over. So just to put it very quickly, I'm going to start making a few phone calls and tell them what happened. But we had an extremely productive meeting, and many points were agreed to. There are just a very few that are left. Some are not that significant. One is probably the most significant, but we have a very good chance of getting there. We were
Okay, so the Russia, like Trump has his agenda, and that's how things are perceived. And Putin knows that he can just, kiss Trump's ass and stroke his ego, and that's all he needs to do. And he's owned the guy every time they've had these meetings because of that. Like he's figured out a way to make Trump feel good about himself, which is the biggest part for Trump. Trump has said, like, what difference does it make for America and him about the Ukrainian-Russian war? Like, it's just, if he gets a peace deal, he can, beat his chest and talk about he's solving all these wars. And whatever he has to do that, like, he gets bragging rights, which is Trump's biggest thing. He wants fucking bragging rights. But Putin conceded that the war wouldn't, not conceding, but telling Trump what he wanted to hear about the war not starting if Trump was president is huge. And probably wouldn't have because of the NATO thing that Trump doesn't care about, because Trump is kind of anti-NATO. And I don't think he would have approved Ukraine join NATO. And Joe Biden had a bad financial relationship with, a criminal financial relationship with Ukraine with his son. And he was in charge of the Ukraine relationship under Obama and had, long-standing ties with the Ukraine. And they funnel money into his family through Hunter's bullshit fucking job that he never went to and was unqualified with that gas company. And so it's just fucked. Like, they were giving $1 billion to the Ukraine, remember, and Biden was going to withhold it if they didn't fire that prosecutor. And so, the corruption and the whole thing. But, I'm pretty convinced we're ending up in World War III because of the whispers of the brighter world messages that predict such things. And, towards the end of this year. So 6 months, whatever it is. And, right now Putin won this thing, and whatever happens with it, Trump's so, I don't know if the word capricious is the right word, but the guy is unstable. So let me see if there's anything more I want to cover here. Okay. I wonder if he has a picture of Jeffrey Epstein back here. This is the Social Security thing, which I said I would cover here in this last video.
So many ways, and the gentleman on my right, we recruited him. We tried to get the best person. We got a man that you'll hear in a second has done an amazing job with respect to Social Security. He's running it, and he's running it like nobody ever even dreamt possible.
He's just doing the best job.
It's the 90th anniversary right now of Social Security. So today we celebrate that 90th anniversary of one of the most significant pieces of legislation ever signed into law, the Social Security Act of 1935, and we're going to make it stronger, bigger and better. Really doing a job. In the campaign, I made a secret pledge to our seniors that I would always protect Social Security, and under this administration, we're keeping that promise and strengthening Social Security for generations to come. You keep hearing stories that in 6 years, 7 years, Social Security will be gone, and it will be if the Democrats ever get involved. Because
those fucking Democrats, fuck those guys.
What they're doing, but it's going to be around a long time with us. Very much, you'll be surprised to hear some of the numbers. I'm delighted to be joined by the Commissioner of the Social Security Administration, Frank Bisignano. Oh, in the world of business, in fact, I wrote some of the little things down.
That was before.
And where we had some good success and some good speeches. Destructive. It couldn't have gone on much longer.
Let's go back a little bit here.
Leaders in Washington who are going to protect the benefits they've had and protect Social Security. Under Biden, Social Security went down like nobody's ever seen it, deteriorated. There's never been...
Biden's fault. It's weird. Everything kind of comes back to being Biden's fault. If only we had not elected Biden in 2020, things would be totally different now.
Anything like it. The 4 years of Biden were very, very destructive. It couldn't have gone on much longer. Social Security was going to be destroyed. It was being destroyed. The average call wait time reached an all-time high of more than 42 minutes. Field office wait times were at 32 minutes, which is unheard of, and the disability claims backlog was the longest ever in recorded history. In other words, it was run just like the country was run. It was run really badly.
Badly it was run.
But I'm pleased to report that under our leadership, and Frank in particular, the changes he's made and what he's done is sort of a miracle. Sort of like what happened with the country as a whole.
It's like the whole thing. It was like Biden was running everything into the ground, and we just fucking saved it. I mean, it's amazing what fucking happened. It's crazy. It's fucking crazy.
Office wait times are now down 30% since last year. And
30%, more staffing. Because of Doge, we've cut back on, we've had more staffing.
It's like it's going to a total record number. And the record was set in a long time ago when the world was a lot different place. We're gonna beat that record. Call wait times are down 73% while serving twice as many customers per day. The disability claims backlog is down 26%, and seniors now have 24/7 online access to their accounts, which they never had before, whereas under Biden, the website was down 29 hours a week for maintenance purposes. It was essentially not open very much. They were always...
It wasn't open, barely open. The website barely had a website. Like it just was, it was under repair all the fucking time. Just like, you couldn't get anybody on the fucking phone. I mean, it was crazy. Biden just was like, I don't know what he's doing. Like, why was he doing that?
Maintaining it, but they didn't know what the hell they were doing. They had a person running that had no idea what they were doing. Among my very first acts was to order all government employees to return to the office or be removed from the job, which means our Social Security offices are now open for full business hours 5 days a week. So unlike being shut down all the time, we're open.
Wow, well, just it's so much better when you're running things than Biden.
record levels also. We're making it really great for the people that want and demand Social Security, and they paid into the system. They deserve it. Last month, I signed one big, beautiful bill and allowed no tax on Social Security for our great seniors, okay? So how's that? Not bad, right?
Not bad at all.
Tax on Social Security for our seniors. And to protect our benefits, we've already kicked nearly 200.
It's amazing that there was a tax on it in the first place. I mean, I don't know how true any of the things Trump is saying here. But if they're taxing your Social Security, it's money that you've already paid into the fucking system.
75,000 illegal aliens off of the Social Security system. These are people, many of them have already left the country, and yet we were sending them checks all the time. And 275,000, and that number's now even larger than that, Frank. It's an unbelievable job. And what that's doing is making the system strong. It's making it strong. Biden never kicked anybody off. Everybody joined. And we're carrying out historic deportations to remove many more illegals committing Social Security fraud. It's the Social Security.
Okay, so I don't know where it's going to say this, and I'm not going to go find it. And I don't know if he's going to get into the numbers. But the numbers are fucked. So here's what the problem is, and I've talked about this before. We have a debt, which Elon Musk exposed. We have $1 trillion of interest every year. And so the amount of tax revenue that we're generating is around $5 trillion. And our deficit is $7 trillion a year, plus an additional $1 trillion in interest. So we're $3 trillion a year increase to our debt. And then that just, then next it'll be $2 trillion a year in interest, right? The interest will start compounding. And the more debt, the more interest. And so we're in, upside down, like a debt loop, right? Cyclical debt, credit card type debt, where you're just able to pay your interest. Pretty soon our whole budget will be just paying the interest on the debt and then taking out more debt. So, and that has nothing to do with Social Security, that debt. Then we have unfunded liabilities of Medicaid and Social Security. And the Social Security is $22 trillion. And so if our income is $5 trillion, and that doesn't meet all of our budgetary needs, then where's the money from Social Security going to come from? Well, what we're paying into it as we, this generation and your younger generation, that money's already been spent. And so, it's going to be, if it isn't bankrupt already, it's going to be bankrupt. Because there won't be enough money in to come pay off, the elder generation Social Security. And so I don't know when that's going to stop. I don't know how many years from now that's going to stop. But when it does stop, it's like playing musical chairs. There's just no money. And when America starts defaulting on these things and not paying back, because it's taking your money, you're paying Social Security tax that's being spent right now for the boomers. That's why there's need for population reduction and other things, right? So, Trump isn't addressing any of that. He just talks about how Biden fucked it up, but it's much bigger than Biden or Trump. This is a debt-based problem because America's upside down in their economy. Now, Trump says the tariffs are going to do something, and he's fucking bullshitting. Like he just, what Americans want to hear is what Trump is saying. What seniors want to hear is, well, we'll take care of you. We're going to keep it going. It's just, we're definitely solving the problem. And they don't know the extent of the debt, or they just want to hear that. Trumpers, they just want to hear him say things like that. And when he says things like that, he says it with such bravado and confidence, like, oh yeah, we're going to get this done. Okay, so the new money revolution, a golden age. This is Trump. This is a Trump thing. You get this free book. You should download it. It's a PDF. It closes a secret window. And then it opens up. So I don't even know if there's I don't know who runs this national debt clock thing. But there's the debt. It's going to hit, by the end of this year, whatever it's going to be in the, it's going to push $40 trillion by the end of this year, right? Debt is going up. It's, I've counted it before. It's $1 million. It's $3 million a minute. Here's a credit default swaps, which is $700 trillion. I mean, crazy amount, like fucking $719 trillion that goes up and down. And there used to be unfunded liabilities here, which they don't have, which is Social Security and Medicaid. And so, but the total amount of U.S. debt here, somewhere over here, credit called U.S. total debt, is $105 trillion. And, you know, when your income is here, which is $500 trillion, which I think is going to go down with Trump's tax breaks and things becoming permanent when the big beautiful bill stuff kicks in. But, you know, none of these things matter because you need income, you need money coming in, and to pay off this and the rest of the things. And so, you know, like even if you were paying down on the debt, even if we made, and to do that, we'd have to cut our budget to about $2 trillion a year. And we could pay $1 trillion a year for 37 years to pay off the debt. And that would take multiple administrations and such a long time. And that has nothing to do with Social Security and Medicaid, which again are these unfunded liabilities are $150 trillion. These things that are promised that America has no budget for. And then whatever wars and other things that happen. So, you know, it's fucked. Like the numbers are fucked. Like I've shown you this before. And they keep on getting more fucked. It's not getting unfucked. Now, if Trump was able to do something where they paid down and this was going in reverse instead of adding to it, then you'd be like, all right, here's the Doge clock. Now the Doge, they're saying that they're saving. And again, so this thing is, because of this fucking book here, The New Money Revolution, The Golden Age, this is some kind of, you know, Trump thing. So it must be a right-wing group that runs this clock. And so, you know, this idea that Doge is actually doing something, right? It isn't, because fucking, you know, Trump just said that he's had to hire more people to get better service at Social Security. And, you know, whatever that is. And, you know, that's doesn't affect the fact that the debt is sucky. Like, you can get somebody on the phone that can say, yeah, you're fucked. Right? Yeah, we're not going to be able to pay you the Social Security, you know, for a year or two, you know, whatever it is. But it's going to crap out at some part of this, right? They're saying U.S. gross domestic product is at $30 trillion, which I think is, you know, but even if it wasn't that, like, it's less than the debt, right? You can't pay, you know, this is all this money, the tax on this, the U.S. gross national product is this, and our budget is $7 trillion a year. And going to get worse with Trump, because Trump is adding to the debt. It's going to add another $3 trillion to the debt on top of the stuff that's already accruing. And so, you know, this is, there's no money. Like, there's just no money. We're in a situation where if you've been in this kind of situation where the money that you're making does not pay off your bills, like whatever your overhead is, whatever you owe, is far exceeds what you're making. And so when that's the case, you're completely fucked, which is what we are. Here's the book, right? The New Money Revolution, A Golden Age, which is what Trump has called it. And there is the various, the tariffs are part of this, right? So they have these are the chapter. And Jesus went into the temple of God and cast out all of them that sold and bought in the temple, and overthrew the tables of the money changers. The money changers, interesting, the only time Jesus showed any kind of aggression or physical display of anger, his entire ministry, has the Lord withdrawn his disdain for cheating people out of their money through trickery? No! So they're bringing the Lord into this. Trust and justice at hand. They got an AI assistant there. Today we are witnessing money-changing crime of monumental proportions. Every day our labor and life energy is being stolen from us by a system that is designed to transfer the wealth of all the working people to a small elite class of money overlords who only desire is power, control, and nothing to offer but misery and bondage. So this is a privately owned company that keeps its name. It's a private company that keeps its name private. It's registered in Michigan. So this looks like a fucking book written for children. Now this is the new U.S. debt clock. Is not affiliated with the one that's in whatever it is, New York. And like this is just a cartoon like fucking book with big fucking, I mean, and just talking about all this stuff. And if anybody should know that we're fucked, so the truth of money is nothing more than a promise to pay fake debt-based assets. Yeah, so that's why we're fucked, right? Like anybody who understands this realizes that there's no way to fix this. You can't reverse the debt-based process. And so these people are right-wing truthers, Ponzi stuff, right? So this is like a truth book that here's I want to get to the tariffs part. That if that this is not something that you can pay back. And so defaulting on the debt and what that means, and what that means to the world economy. This is where they get into the solution here. So they want to transfer the power to the people. Money reinvented, debt to wealth, sovereign wealth reserve, a declaration that by we the people, and they should know all this stuff's not going to happen. There's something here to do with tariffs, because it said in the beginning, and I can't search for it. But, the tariffs are going to hike prices. I'm not going to cover it. There's a video out there that the, wholesale prices have gone up. Some companies are eating the tariffs somewhat for now. But, but anyways, this thing's fucked. Right? Because all you have to say is, yeah, we're not going to pay this off. And so this is, that's all you have to say. We can't pay it off, so whatever that means. And, here's tariffs. For over 100 years, the world has witnessed the horrors of communism and its dehumanizing effect on civilization, power, control, and expansion by any means. To no one's surprise, this subterfuge extends to the economic warfare. How do you stop a nation committed to destroying the economy based off another? Tariffs. Between 1820 and 1913, the U.S. government was mostly funded by tariffs. At just 3.5% of GDP, tariffs could bring in $1 trillion a year revenue. With addition of the U.S. dividend dollar counted as revenue of $1.5 trillion, the income tax and corporate tax could be completely eliminated. The problem with that is that you would pay the tax in the form of you pay more for goods. Half of our stuff is imported, and that's only a 3% tariff, but it's you pay either way. That's the issue, and tariffs go against economic growth, especially when you get into the kind of percentages you need. Like when Trump's talking about 20%, 30%, 50% tariffs. That's doubling that's increasing inflation by whatever percentage the tariff is, because things that are essential to you and driving prices way up, which is we already know that tariff is a tax, and so if he did 2% tariffs, 3% tariffs, and got another $1 trillion in revenue, that'd be great, but that still won't pay down the debt, and so you'd need 9% tariffs, 10% tariffs, 20% tariffs across the board. Something like that. But then all the prices would go up and the economy would be fucked that way. Because it doesn't matter what you do, it's fucked. Right? And so this is some right-wing fucking, semi-truther pro-Trump website. But they should know better than anybody that it's fucked. It's not to do with communism. It's not to do with anything. It's to do with people being greedy as fuck, right? And being billionaires and trillionaires and hoarding resources. And, everybody else going along with that, like everyone being selfish and egotistical and not serving God and not, being being egocentric. Anyways, let me wrap this one up here. Only spirituality will save this world. It's part of Bible, definitely pointing from up the apocalypse and the ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.